Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. So in our LMS, I have uploaded last week a sample code about connecting a Visual Basic application to the MySQL database using data grid. During our previous session, first week of March, we had a demonstration about common Windows controls. Okay, so this is a running program, so you can download this and run it in your local machine. Okay, so let me download the code. Okay, so I will open the code and shift my window to Visual Studio 2019. Okay, so this is the database file, and this is the Visual Studio solution file. So this is what we're going to open with the Visual Studio 2019 development environment. One of your classmates asked me about this environment. According to her, there is an expiration of the license for community edition of Visual Studio 2019. Actually, since it is community edition, it is supposed to be free. But they have a requirement. You should have a Microsoft account. The Microsoft account can be Hotmail or MS Outlook. If you have that account, you will be able to use the development environment for free, and it will not expire. In my case, I'm using my Hotmail account. So while waiting, we need to restore. Okay. We need to restore the database. So this time I'm sharing to you my MySQL Workbench develop IDE. I mean, so let's click import or restore, and let's locate that file. As the file is a self-contained file, meaning there is one database backup file. Because in MySQL, you can actually create a backup containing multiple files. In my demonstration, I created a backup using a single file. So it's here, database connect. So this one, dump, and click start import. Okay, so the connection was successful. Okay. 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 So can you see my screen? My screen right now is the Visual Studio 2019. Nakikita ba? Please respond by sending thumbs up. Okay. Okay. So I have here a form containing this simple Windows control, text box, a button, then another button, and a data grid. So this button add with that event click actually inserts or add record into our database. And the button load user, it will display the records of your database in the grid. Okay, so one of the requirement for you to use MySQL in bb.net is to import the library. This one, imports mysql.data.mysql client. It actually adds the MySQL data.dll. DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library. It's very similar to importing library in Java or C++. And another requirement is for you to have a variable of a MySQL connection. This one. So you're basically creating an instance of the MySQL connection. Okay. So here I created a public module or sub procedure with this. So basically we need to modify the username and password based on our username and password in our local MySQL server. Yan. So this means, wait lang. I'll try to enlarge the text para mas makita nyo. Preferences. Wait lang guys. Wala ata. Later na lang. Anyway, nakikita pa naman eh. Ito. Pwede naman pala. Okay. Yan. Yan. Okay. Yan. So, I believe it's better. So here, we need to open a connection. So with this db.state, if the state of the connection is open, then close it. This is to ensure that you are not trying to open a database which is already open. Okay. And the connection string is your db connection string. This is actually a variable, which is this one, that defines the server, the username, and the password of your database, and the database itself. The database name is sampledb. And the next line is you open the connection. It is inside a try and catch code, so that if there is an error in connecting to the database, then it will catch the error and display the connection error and will close the database. This connect to DB will basically dispose and close the DB connection. Okay, so yun lang. Simple as that. And here, the button add, the first line, I created here a string variable that will hold the query of the database. This is actually an insert query, and the values from the username and the text user ID and text name, these are text boxes in our form. And we call the module or sub procedure connect to DB, which is this one. So that's your connection to the database. And I created here a command variable, which is an instance of the MySQL command. And using again try and catch code, I set the connection of the command to DB connection, and the command text is this one, the string SQL, and is to execute non-query. Okay, so that's how you execute the query. You create first a command and set the connection and the query for that command and execute the query. If there's an error, it will catch the error and it will display using a message box. The next code is about loading the users. DG user is actually a data grid. So this line will clear the data grid records. And here again, this is an instance of the MySQL command. You will notice that I was able to use my command here, name, and my command here because it is a local variable. The my command here is different from the my command here. So local variable lang siya dun sa specific na module or procedure. And again, I called the connect to DB procedure. I was able to use this because in this case, it is a public module. This one, public. This one is private. So the variables here can only be used in this sub procedure, just like this one. So again, the connection to the database is present here, and the my command that connection equals to db connection. Command type is command type text. It is specify how a command string is interpreted, and we need this variable MySQL data reader. Actually, when you hover your mouse here, it will display already the meaning or the documentation of that specific variable type. And this is how we add records in the reader, or I mean in the data grid using iloop. So we added user ID and username. Okay, so let's try to run the program. Yan. So let me. This is the output of the program. Can you see the form? Form 1. Nakita ba yung username text box?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So let's have user ID, let's say 5. And the name is, sino ba ang present ngayon? Parang andyan si Kyle. Okay. So there's an error. Authentication. Can you see the error? Can you see the error, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the error says authentication to host, local host for user mic using method MySQL native password failed with message access denied for user mic localhost using password. So probably there's no user in the database. There's no user mic in the database, or probably the password I inputted for that user is incorrect. So let's check. So let us check our workbench. So this is our workbench. Let me see kung may, okay. So here I have a user mic. So let's check. Let's see. Save password. I believe the sige. Okay. Yan. So Right now I'm using my command prompt. Let's connect to the database so we can see here the password of the user Mike. Okay. Oh, dash H. Dash U. E. Okay. So invalid username password. I believe my password is correct. Okay. So this is my password. Ito natin. Show. So sample DB. Use sample DB. Show tables. Yan. Okay, let me share again my screen. We need to modify the code for the connection. There you go. So this is my connection string. Yes, there is a mic user, but the password is not mic. It should be QWERTY 12345 exclamation point. Yeah. So save and run the program. Okay, this is now the output. So 5. Okay, successfully added. So let's check our command prompt if it's really added to our database. This is our command prompt. So it's here, 5 and Mike. So we were able to add record already in our database. So let's try the load button or load data button or load users. So click this. So there you go. Can you see the grid?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So the program is working. So we have now add and load users. The question is, how do you modify or delete a record in the database? Okay, so yan ang gawin natin. Yan. View. Toolbox. Yan. Ito yung toolbox natin. Then Solution Explorer. Then Properties. Okay. So double click this form. This is our form. So we want to add a modify button. Let's say the update is the update button. Then the name of the button is btn update. You also need a delete button. Btn delete. Text is delete. Yeah. And we double click this button to view the source code window. Yan. So the update button is very similar with insert. All we need to do is to modify the query, but the code is basically the same. So just copy and paste this, copy, put it here. Then instead of insert, the query should be update. Diba? So update users, set username. Wait lang. Kunin ko lang yung set username. Set username is equals to set username is equals to me, the text name. Where user ID is equals to yan, tingnan natin. So update users, set username is equals to where user ID is equals to like this. So let's try to check the actual query before we activate this other code. This one, meaning naka-comment siya. So, lagyan natin sa message box. str SQL. Let's try to display the content of this str SQL to a message box para makita natin kung tama yung query natin. Set username is equals to yan. So, save and run the program. Yan. So, we have now the update button and the delete button. We created this code for update. Pero this time, i-check lang natin kung tama yung query. Let's say meron tayo ditong we load the records. Let's say 5. And this one is sabihin natin instead of Mike, gawin natin John. Yan yung intention natin. Pero this time, check muna natin kung yung query tama sa update. So, update users, set username is equals to John, where user ID is equals to 5. Tama, right? So, let's check yung data type ng user ID. So right now I'm in my console. So describe users. So varchar. So ibig sabihin, in variable characters string, enclose siya in a single quotation or double quotation. So that means that our query is correct. Tama to. Update user set user equals to John where user ID is equals to 5. Tama. So let's complete the code. So tama yung query natin. So connection to the database, command, connection, query, yes, successfully edited. Record is updated. Yan. Yan. So yan yung code. So let's try. So this is the output. Let's load the users. I have 4 users. Let's try to modify this user ID 5, and instead of Mike, we'll have it John. Unknown user ID. Unknown column in work clause. Where? It is because the column name is user underscore IT, not user ID. Okay, and that is the purpose of having this one. This error message. Try and catch. So you have an error in your query. The query is syntactically correct, but logically wrong because there is no column user ID. It should be user underscore ID. So this try and catch structure was able to capture the error and display it in a message box. Ito yun. Ito siya. Okay. So save. Run. Share screen. Load users. 5. John. Update. So record is updated. Let's refresh. Point. So it's now working. Nakita ba?
Yes po.
Naintindihan? It might be sa ngayon very technical or very confusing, pero actually when you use VB.NET, you will realize that's easier than any other programming language in the world. Yeah, seryoso. Ayun ang pinakamadali na programming language. Kasi have lots of documentation. It's very English-like, and there are so many tools that you can use in doing your application or understanding the code. Okay. For delete, the delete button should be able to delete one record. And actually, the code for delete is also very similar to insert and update. All you need to do is to use delete query instead of insert and update query. So again, I can just copy and paste this in the delete button. So instead of update, delete. Delete from users. Where from users. Where username actually itong ginagawa ko dito just as concatenation for the purpose of readability. Where user ID is equals to text the user ID point text. So again, let's try the message box. We can actually highlight this and actually there's a shortcut for making this as a comment. Hindi ko mahanap. Isa-isayin ko na lang. Later mahanap natin yan. Highlight and make it sa comment. Yan. Ito, try lang muna natin. So, save, start. So, delete from user where user ID is equals to blank because blank naman talaga. Let's say ABC. Delete from users where user ID equals to ABC. So it's a valid query, right? So let us now uncomment this one. Okay, connect to DB. Record deleted. Yan. So save. Then run. Load the users. Yan. This is our users, list of users. So we wanted to delete user ID ABC, delete the record deleted. Then, yan. Let's say we add one. See John, add to database. Okay, we modify 232 with say nito si Marie update. Yun. So we have now John, Hill, Marie, and John. Okay. Nakita? Okay. So, naintindihan ba? It's very easy, right? And actually what I did, I already gave you the structure of the DML, Data Manipulation Language. Yan na yung pinaka simplified version of doing data manipulation in MySQL. And my source code for most of my projects when I created uh, inventory system, point of sales, enrollment systems, human resource, all of my systems na desktop, ganyan yung structure. Naka-try and catch yung connection na sa public module, tapos tinatawag ko na lang sa private module. Yun lang. And everything else will just follow. Depende na sa business rules. Pero yung basic structure of deleting, uh, deleting, updating, and inserting records, yan na yun. Pero of course, mag-iiba-iba na lang siya based dun sa control na ginagamit nyo. When you say control, this can be list box, this can be data grid, this can be file explorer, or this can be menu. So, depende. Pero, yun na yung pinaka simplified version yun na madaling intindihan. So, question before we end the session.
Sir?
Yes.
Is there any activity that we have to do?
You should be working right now with your project. Kasi we only had one project. One project for the whole semester. And what we did, we group you by 3. So it is expected that you are working already with your project. One of your classmates requested last time that the grouping can be your capstone project grouping, and the topic can also be your capstone project topic. That my answer to that's okay with me, as long as the output should be a desktop application. So for example, if you are working to a document tracking in your capstone project, you can submit a document tracking program in bb.net with your original grouping with your capstone.
Is that it, sir? Like there's no quiz or midterms?
We will have a midterm examination. Our midterm examination is next week. Next week, I'll be uploading a midterm quiz that is multiple choice and LMS. It will be a 40-item quiz, which is about the different controls in bb.net. The things that we've discussed since our first session. Kung ginagawa nyo yung project nyo or you are simulating my sample code, you will be able to answer the quiz. For example, one question. Which event is supported by a text box? So, pipilian mo. Text change, lost focus, yan, ganun. Let's say, bb.net is forward compatible, backward compatible, compatible with Linux. So, it can be true or false. Basta kung ginagawa nyo yung project nyo or inintindi nyo yung mga sessions na yung simulations na binibigay ko, you will be able to answer the quiz. Kasi doon lang naman yung iikot. What else?
Well, I got to be honest, sir. I haven't actually seen most of your videos.
It is uploaded in the YouTube.
Yeah.
So, you can just replay some of the videos yung hindi mo naintindihan.
Yes.
What else?
Are we going to have another meeting this week?
This will serve as our meeting this week for this week. Next week is the schedule of the midterm examination. Don't worry, madali lang yung quiz as long as ginagawa nyo yung project nyo. Siyempre, may mga MySQL doon, questions relevant to bb.net. So, yun. So, you need to study about this one. Okay. What do you mean by this? Yan. Connection. This one. Yan. Kaya nga, binibigay ko na. Pero hindi naman ganun ka-complicated yan. Yes, Alaika. Ay, hindi pala. Akala ko you're raising your hand. What else?
Oh. I don't know I don't know what to feel about the way you teach, sir. It's almost like you seem. I mean, you did give us videos, but isn't there supposed to be like any way to at least check out that maybe we're progressing a bit? Like at least a quiz every other week or so, just to make sure we're actually paying attention.
Actually, I assume that since you're already third-year student, and I know that you have many projects, and this one is, I believe, is professional subject na additional knowledge, programming language on your part. I assume that you take full responsibility of really attending my sessions and understanding the concepts and my lectures. Kung gagawa ko ng quiz, pwede naman yon. Pero in programming kasi, quiz is not so effective. Sa programming, you should be able to do program. Hindi yung quiz. Ang quiz kasi pwede mong tsambayin yan eh. Yung program, there's only one answer. Is it running or not? So yun. Kaya most of my lecture is actual demonstration of what you are supposed to do.
So nothing like machine exercises, small mini exercise machine exercises.
Actually, it's my method is actually to help you with your situation right now. Kasi alam ko na some of you have intermittent internet connection. Some of you are working with a capstone project. There are many requirements in the other subject. So it's actually a consideration. Kasi I can have it naman na individual yung project. So bakit ginawang by group? Pwede ko naman gawin midterm project iba sa final project. So bakit ginawang isang project na lang? So basically it's all about consideration. Kasi naging estudyante rin ako eh. Ang bottom line naman kasi dito, as long as para sa akin, as long as my professor is teaching what we are supposed to learn, that's okay with me. Kasi yung programming, it's more of what you should be doing, not your professor is doing. Ganun siya. You actually you in programming, you will learn by examples. to tell you honestly, my first project when I was in college, I actually copied the code in the internet and submit to my professor. Later ko na lang naintindihan talaga siya totally. And I'm doing my best to really explain and uh, make programming elementary to the basic level. Yes. Pero if you if for example sa comment ni Jose, um gusto niya yung marami exercises, we can do that after midterm. So weekly tayo mag-exercises.
Siya lang
Gusto niya
po, sir. Siya lang.
siya lang.
I'm
Kasi
just taking out the situation. Just I'm just trying to at least talk something since no one else seems willing to.
okay. Okay naman yan, Jose. Observation mo. Pero this method, pinag-isipan ko rin ito. Kasi ayoko masyadong ma-pressure kayo. So, yung capstone project title nyo, yung capstone project grouping, you can implement that. So siguro sa grouping nyo, somebody is working on the PHP if you are doing web-based and other one is doing the .NET. Pero dito naman sa subject na to, hindi naman dito kailangan yung yung buong system eh. Hindi naman kailangan yung buong system. After midterm, I'll be posting my rubrics kung paano ko i-check yung project. Ano yung module na kailangan na ganito, ilang points to kung nagawa. So yan. Actually in the master level, weekly I am requiring them to have an activity. Share ko lang. This is my my LMS course in the client server computing. So last time they have a literature review about client server computing, then literature review. Then they have this one activity. Ito is about network kasi. So pakita ko lang. Kung gusto nyo ganito, pwede rin. Pero tingin ko mas mahirap to eh. So yan. So, yan. Yan yung activity. So, the next activity, ito naman, there are 19 questions na weekly they have to submit. Yan. There are 19 questions. Okay. So, next week, we'll have another set of activity kasi master level na yun. Sa inyo, it's more of an incremental project. Tapos yung midterm and finals, may quiz din siya pero it's very easy kung ginagawa niyo yung project niyo. Ano pa? You can ask naman questions sa email or dun sa sa LMS if hindi nyo pa alam yung itatanong nyo sa sessions natin. So, pwede naman sa email or sa sa messaging system ng LMS. Actually, there's one na nag-email sa akin and I'll try to really have a response as soon as possible. Yung sinasabi ni Jose na quiz sa programming, pang programming 1 yun na class, na what is a variable, what is the maximum value of an integer, what is the difference between long text and string. So, pang programming 1 yun. Ito, event-driven programming, basically, nag-iikot to dun sa creating a program which is triggered by events. Tapos yung event dito, most of the time, dun sa mga example sa bigay ko, click event. Pero we'll have event for lost focus, form load, got focus, text change. Yan lang naman yun. And that is the subject all about. Actually, pwede ngang i-discuss ko dito sa event-driven is diretso ng Xamarin, yung mobile application. Kaya lang ang problema doon, and hindi ko pa rin kasi nakita yung yung if you have hardware para sa mobile dev. Kasi dapat yung desktop natin doon, minimum of 16 gig or else ang bagal niya mag-compile for Xamarin. Kaya sa tingin ko, para ma-open up kayo dun sa technology, we can have bb.net. Tapos yung mag-capstone project, I can teach naman Xamarin. Dalawa lang kasi yan Xamarin or although pwede mo ng Flutter and yung isa Android Studio. Pero lahat yan malakas sa memory, especially dun sa creating simulator ng phone. So, meron pa ba? Kasi umiimik yung iba. Naintindihan ba o walang naintindihan? Can you open your camera before we end the session para makita ko kayo? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so dito naman pala lahat. Actually, may one of my style sa session, talang nilimit ko lang siya sa 1 hour. Alam niyo bakit? Kapag sobra ka ng 1 hour, wala nang dyan wala nang learning masyado. Kasi experience ko yan Kapag yung webinar is sobra 1 oras, wala na ako dyan. Ano na ako dyan? Tulog na ako dyan. Hindi na ako niya makikinig. And makatipid din kayo sa niyan, sa load. Pero that doesn't limit you kung may mga queries kayo. Pwede nyo send an email kung paano. And you will notice lahat ng source code ko, ina-upload ko, it is supposed to run. Kapag hindi yan tumakbo, let's see, baka yung problema sa installation. Pero it is supposed to run. And in doing it live, para talagang nakita nyo na gumana. Okay. So, may questions pa ba? Kung wala na, thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay. Si Jobert ayaw magpakita Thumbs up. Okay lang yan. Basta nyo lang, I am with you. Hindi ko kayo masyadong papahirapan. Hindi naman ako papahirapan sa estudyante. I say to it na my students learn from me. That has been my rule of thumb. Tapos hindi ako may lapitan. Siguro nagkakataon lang na medyo may constraint tayo dun sa connection kasi walang face-to-face. Pero just send an email. Mag-respond ako niyan. Or Some of you hindi ka friend sa Facebook kasi hindi ko naman ng Facebook nyo. Pero if you send a messenger message, then basta kilala ko kayo. Pakilala kayo na kung anong block o anong year level. Kaya sobrang daming estudyante ko, so hindi ko naman talaga alam or kilala lahat. Okay, so that's it for now. Thank you for your participation and see you.
Right then. Bye, sir.
Bye po,
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.